Hello, friends. We meet again, and I'm so excited for our time today. Welcome to Soul Channel, a place for seekers to cultivate clarity, raise consciousness, normalize spirituality so the collective unity, we can change the world. I am thrilled to introduce today's guest because not only is she a wise sister, but she's also a dear friend who's shared her work with me and touched my soul with her wisdom about our bodies and how to create intimate relationships with our bodies. So let me tell you just a little bit about her. She's just a little bit mysterious, which I just love. River Roaring has always been paid to keep secrets. Years ago, she left her decades long career as a trial attorney and lobbyist with her own office when she realized she was no longer in integrity. She realized she's not here to help people fight. She's here to help people love. Now, River is one of the top sexologists and most experienced surrogate partners in the United States, providing safe, confidential space for erotic, sexual, beautiful body awareness and understanding. Welcome, River. Thank you so much for being here.
Sister Teresa, it's absolutely my honor and pleasure today. Thank you.
Oh, I cannot wait to dive into this topic because not a lot of people have A, the courage to look at it within themselves, but B, the opportunity to hear wisdom within the context of our bodies, intimacy, and sex. So let's start with tell me a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Thank you. Um, as you had mentioned, I was a lawyer and lobbyist. I grew up in West Texas in a small town that neither parent had gone to college or anything like that, and um, got really turned on by ideas. So I went off and got the philosophy degree at UT Austin, which was I'm the first person in my line to have a college degree, and then went to UC Hastings Law School. It has a new name in San Francisco, and became a trial attorney, seeking ideas, seeking first philosophy at UT Austin. I only for 4 years was shown white male ideas. When I look back on it, it's shocking. It's shocking. But that's what happened. And then to law school to find out what kind of ideas are people making each other do. I want to see the ones that we're making each other do. And became a lobbyist. And we changed a lot of laws for social justice causes in those years as well. And then I was so disembodied, Teresa, that I thought when people talk about yoga, embodiment, and union, they had a little imaginary world that just
Oh,
wasn't even real. And I thought it
yeah.
was cute. That's how distant I was from my own self, you know, and then had
Mm.
my own spiritual awakening and sexual awakening at the same time and became a Toltec. And for 7 years, got really deep into the Toltec lineage. I'm in the Eagle Knight lineage of Toltec, studying with Heather Ashamara and her partner. And from there, got into another spiritual path, Satyananda Yoga, ended up traveling to India to get direct transmission of the highest Kundalini practices there. And then, after years of that dedicated work, shifted again into the Tao, and I studied the Tao for years. I'm still with a Tao teacher. And finally, at the end, the cherry on top has been to really put together a lot of the off-planet wisdom together with the planetary wisdom systems that I've studied. And out of all of that, what I feel is missing the most in the world is for us to be able to safely and lovingly include our sexuality in our awakening process.
Hmm.
So to me, the original sin was when our sexual energy was separated falsely from the wholeness of who we are,
Yeah.
and shame came in. And for me, all the other disempowering movements on earth that have sought to possess or control us have been easier because that one was set in place first. Of course, the gender issues stem a lot from that as well. And so I'm really here to invite everyone who has ears to hear and everyone who feels resonant with this message that if you are in an awakening process, I want to warmly invite you to lovingly include your sexuality in your awakening process. And we can do that in a safe and beautiful way. Our society doesn't show us how to do it in a safe and
Yeah.
beautiful way. It's hard to find that information, but it can be done. And I hope I'm here to be that messenger.
I want to reflect back, River, that you are here to be that messenger, and it is a vital message to us attaining balance and flow of our energy systems. We can't simply say, I'm not going to honor the second chakra or the kundalini energy or the snake that moves up through our systems. And I want to reflect that your journey is inspirational. It truly is. And I want everyone to really hear this and absorb it. You were true to your curiosity. And this is one of the hallmarks of what I teach is where is your curiosity leading you? And I believe that there are no mistakes. Everything that we've learned and experienced is for us to evolve and grow. And for you to be in lobbying and a trial attorney and philosophy major, I mean, all of those things laid the foundation for what was available to you to step into, and the courage to keep saying yes, to keep saying yes now allows you to bring that place of courage to your students and to the people that you work with, which allows them to relax and fully move into the experience. So I find your story incredibly beautiful and very inspirational.
Teresa, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really, it means a lot to me, and I'd like to be a messenger as well for courageous action when we know what the right next move is as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had a paycheck from an employer since I was a kid. I did start working when I was 13. So I was working, through high school. I've made my way through college for working full time. But once I got out of that age frame, I have had my own businesses for what, 35, 40 years or something. And that's not that easy. And then when I've had the spiritual messages on my own path, the Toltecs teach, don't try to serve until you get the call. So
Wise.
I'm really glad, because I did 5 years of very hard work on my own, on myself. And then I
Mhm.
was in a ritual in a Toltec ceremony one day when I got the call, and it came in like lightning through my body. I sat up. We were laying down. I sat up. Oh my God, I'm here to be a sexual healer. It's never been more clear. Nothing has been more clear. And I just want to be an inspiration to others who may be getting these messages. I haven't done anything else since that day. That's it. And there have been times where maybe money doesn't feel like it's going to be there enough, or maybe my own supports, or maybe my own partnerships are starting to fall apart. And I'm thinking, what am I even trying to do here if I can't get this done myself in a healthy way?
Yeah.
But all the way through, those are all catalysts. Those are all choice points for us. In other words, the way I see life is there's nothing I'm here to do except make a moment to moment choice for my soul's purpose. And so even when it seemed like I've said so many times, any other outside person would be like, you're crazy, run back. Just run backwards. Maybe go live at your parents' house or something. But every time I've been like, no, this is a message and it's for something and we're going forward on this.
Yeah.
And every one of us can do that. All these complications and challenges are but illusions. I know that they may truly impact us. I've had some impacts like that.
Yep.
Even those were learning experiences for what's next.
100%, right?
Yeah.
Everything that comes to you is for you. You created it. What are you trying to teach yourself? Yeah,
Yes.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. And we can all live this way. And I think when we all let go of the ideas of other people and the outside world and all the ideas for me that I was taught from kindergarten through the end of law school and then in 20 years of the career in the trial courts and everything, which is so definition of patriarchy, you
Yeah.
know. And so I think of it as for 40 years I was deeply trained in patriarchy and I held that and I carried it forward during that time. But
Yep.
even with all of that, we can break free of those structures and just say no to
Yeah.
all of them, if we want to.
And and the most effective change always comes from knowing where you're coming from. I believe this is a divine feminine awakening so that we can
Yes,
balance the masculine feminine, right?
absolutely.
The patriarchy, it took us very far into a very homogenous living by default path. And now we're awakening and saying, wow, that actually doesn't work for me, and self determining.
Yeah.
And it is exactly why we have all of these amazing messengers like yourself who are coming aboard and saying, here is a path. Let me share this incredibly beautiful path that will awaken something within you. And so tell us about the path. Tell us how it evolved from that Toltec awakening into becoming, because girl, you have got street cred. You are incredibly well known for what you do, and you do it very, very well.
Hmm.
Um, expert level delivery of wisdom.
Hmm.
So tell us, bridge that gap for us.
I'd love to. To really bring it to what I feel is this like really important, and I think what's really missing the most right now in the whole conversation has certainly been something I've learned through all these years that I have been diving not only into trainings of every kind for human sexuality, but also my own personal, very interesting explorations that have not been boring. I do some of my own personal experimentation. And what I see missing right now, in a way, is that a lot of times in the spiritual conversations, I don't hear our sexual energy included in the conversation. And it feels like, wow, that's the most powerful energy in my whole body. If I were going to get myself into integrity as a human, wouldn't I want that to be an integrity too?
Yeah.
And then over here on the sexual side, there are a lot of teachers and there are a lot of people experimenting in really big new ways with that. I don't really hear the spiritual side over there as much. And that's missing just as much. So
Mm.
when you go just straight into a sexual experience or just try to get that achieved by itself, we can be led astray because most things in our current culture are going to lead us astray down the sexual path they're designed as part of the faulty dream of our planet right now and the false illusions to take us into disempowering places with our sexuality. So what
Mhm.
I really see in what I want everyone to hear is that it's possible to move into this area of ourselves in a safe way. And I define safety as a relaxed nervous system. So if my nervous system is activated and I'm anxious or I'm all, whenever my nervous system is not in a relaxed position, I call that a lack of safety. And when I'm
Mhm.
not in safety, literally I cannot access the sensations of my body. And the sensations in my body are source wisdom language from 4 billion years ago. So I like to say, like, I have 55 years of noise in here from the external world that's been forced in, sort of, that I've seeped
Yeah.
up like a sponge. But down here in my body, in every cell, is 4 billion years of wisdom. And if I can drop beneath my thinking mind, and if I can, the way I teach it is my physical sensations themselves are the language of my wisdom. So only when I'm in a relaxed nervous system can I hear the voice of my wisdom, which in my language and what I teach is the physical sensation set of my body. They're saying things to me. And so from a safe place, that's where I can be creative, access all the wisdom. That's where I can make my highest self known. And that's where I can learn about sexuality. So a lot of the sexual teacher and spaces that are being created right now don't focus on that. So it's easy to get together and try to raise our sexuality, but not be in a relaxed, safe position, in which
Yeah.
case there's really no learning or progress that's going to happen. It's going to be something else is going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm really about bringing the safety in the relaxed nervous system. It goes to the vagus nerve. And once we get there, we can shift into hearing. And I'm starting to call when I'm able to hear all my sensations and really be in a conversation with that in and outside of the bedroom. It's about being in the bedroom in my primal wisdom as well, there.
Yeah.
And when I can start to hear all of that, I'm starting to call it quantum embodiment because now I can lift myself into higher creative realms and even higher spiritual realms when my meditations become felt instead of just a thought or an idea. Sometimes even my spiritual life can get a little up here a little
Yeah.
bit. And I want to go, whoa, what about this instrument that I was given, my Merkaba? What about this turning it on and lighting it up to feel spirit?
I love that. And I I want to one of the things in our one of our early conversations, this was over a year ago, I think, where you talked about how to create safe touch. Excuse me, and how to create safety and feel safe in your body. Because so many of us have been exposed to traumatic events.
I mean, all of us,
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with
because we're
that. I was
alive
trying
in
to
2024.
yeah, yeah. So feeling safe, being touched,
Yeah.
and creating that intimate energy exchange chakra to chakra is opening ourselves in a place of vulnerability that I don't know that many people know how to access. And what I'm hearing you say gives me great hope because when you say sex or you talk about sexuality, people kind of go, "I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about. I don't want taboo." Well, it's not. It's your body. and it's yours. Create the relationship with it, right? So I want people to hear that and receive it. The first step in creating that quantum experience with your sexuality is feeling safe. And I love that.
Exactly. So, how often are people going to touch one another in a sensual way, and one or both is really not safe
Yeah.
by definition? And so, what is actually happening in that interaction? Something's happening for sure. And it's not the way we were born to connect in
Yeah.
total safety. So, in touching with safety, I learned this from Dr. Betty Martin, one of my greatest teachers. We start we start by, excuse me, I have a weekend workshop where this is where like my this is where I start people.
Yeah.
And we start by picking up an object and leaning back in a relaxed position, fully relaxed, and seeing what's possible in my hands and the sensations here.
Yeah.
Because if I'm if I can't be safe with my own sensation and pleasure with this, it's not going to happen with another person. Right. And so there that this is just an example of a safe way, a safer way where I can keep myself more relaxed to learn how to turn my sensation on again. Because when I was a little child, my nerves filled out and I started touching everything, like, like touching the birthday cake and putting it all over my face and touching mommy's hair and touching every single thing until what? Until someone said, don't touch,
Yeah.
stop it. That's bad. Or don't touch there, or a lot of the physical discipline, which can just pull our nerves back inside from touching, right? Like it's just not
Yeah.
safe to feel
Yeah.
for most children these days. Even the command, stop crying. Hey, what are you talking about? I'm crying right now. This is something I need to do right now. But we all
Yeah.
have these life experiences that make it very very courageous to touch and feel again. So starting with an object, and then when that's really delicious, then we move to a hand of another person. Because a hand, if I can't stay relaxed and calm while I'm touching another's hand, I'm probably not going to strip our clothes off and start touching genitals because now I'm going to be really activated,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is how we just ease and get comfortable with each little extra tiny level of intensity and work ourselves until my own body will do the work, your own body, all of our bodies open at the pace they open, no right or wrong. Any pace is fine. And as it wants to open and let a little more pleasure into a relaxed system, who knows? Eventually, who knows who will be going to like the orgies on Friday night and be
Yeah.
totally relaxed, right?
Yeah.
Just like, oh, this is easy and relaxing.
Yeah.
Baby steps, like I'm talking about, very, very small baby steps. It's really important that we allow our bodies to really thaw out and remember what sensation is like in a
Mhm.
beautiful, safe container, which means I will stay relaxed throughout that process.
And for so many of us, and I think this is women and men both, although I hear it more from women, um, they say yes when they mean no. They move through with sex with their partner, even if they're not in the mood or they don't want it. And so all of those traumas that created that false narrative, that false yes, gets piled on and more
Yeah.
evidence for not being safe. So
Yeah.
I love the ability to reprogram our somatic response, as well as reprogram all those neural pathways and introduce a new level of empowerment and embodiment in our physical being. And
Yes.
that's so, as somebody who was sexually molested 5 times before I was 15,
Hmm.
that feels so safe and so kind and
Hmm.
so open and accessible, right?
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The
I did
second
my
part.
healing. Yeah, I did my healing on that one about 20 years ago, and now it's a tool. I can say that out loud without being triggered,
Wow.
and I can open the conversation. I can open the listening for people who have experienced it so they can hear there's alternative ways of relating with the experience.
It's
And
beautiful.
what you're saying is not only are there alternative ways of relating with the experience, but there's ways to become more intimate with your physical body in a healthy, wholesome, fun, playful, joyful, loving way.
Yeah, we're here to play. That's where our creativity lies. And I believe also that each one of us is an immortal creator. So if I'm an immortal creator, I'm here in this body for this real short amount of time. I want
Yeah,
to use all the energies in my body for that creation. And I want
yeah,
to stay relaxed and be able to, what I teach is to stay relaxed and add in some bliss little by little. And actually, we expand the scope of our entire sensory human experience slowly by building those neural pathways back that
yep,
got that, opening them back up, the ones that were cut off when either sexual abuse happened or anything else. Um, so this is the way back to our wisdom. And only from the relaxed place am I going to be able to hear because my body is telling me whether I'm a yes or no. It's another
mhm,
very important part we go into in the workshop. So if I'm a yes, my body lights up and says I'm a yes. And when I'm a
yeah,
no, my body has a little contraction somewhere. There's something in me that's like, And once I'm relaxed and can hear the wisdom, then I can put all the pieces together as a journey, notice the sensation, trust it, value it, and then communicate it. So it can be a very long journey, but once we practice that, we can use our yes and no from our wisdom and learn how to trust ourselves.
yeah,
So often, more women tell me this, but I work with men and they have the same issue of not trusting the other gender a lot of times.
yeah,
And what we learn together in my weekend is that what we're here to do is learn how to trust ourselves. And by hearing my 4 billion years of wisdom, I become very trustworthy to myself. That's a lot of wisdom. And I start then moving from that wisdom in my yeses and my nos and listen to that. It's magic. It's the
it
my
is
body
magic.
is a compass, an antenna.
Yep,
It's just magic.
yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. So you mentioned your workshops. Tell me a little bit about what you do and how people can work with you because I think it's important that they find you, which
Thank
will be
you.
in the show notes. We all know this, but we want
Thank you,
more.
Teresa.
Yeah.
Thank you, Goddess. I just also want to thank you for what you do in this world and being brave enough. You as well left a well-paying career to
Yeah.
step out into the unknown of your sacred purpose. And thank you. You're also a hugely inspiring priestess in this world. And I just am grateful for what you're doing. I loved your intuition workshop and
Oh,
I've been
thank you.
really enjoying your broadcasts. Well, I do all of my work in person right now, and I might change that sometime, but right now it's all in person here in Austin, Texas. So you are warmly invited to join me at the next weekend workshop. It will be July 19 to the 21st here in 2024. And if you miss that one, check out riverroaring.com for our next workshop dates. But we have an awesome weekend where we just start at the beginning and go all the way through this. A lot of people who come to my workshop do travel in from other places. I've been giving this workshop now for 5 years, and it's really built up into a pretty epic life transforming workshop. We really
Wow.
look at, like, how do you want to live on earth, from up here or all of this behind you and propelling you. And it's important we learn all of those skills. And like I said, in the safer environments before there's actual sexual activity. And then once we learn all this safety,
Yeah.
in the workshop, we keep our clothes on. We do not touch genitals. We do not go into the actual sexual arousal touch at all, because all the healing is before that. Right. So I do warmly invite everyone to come join our workshop, small groups, check out the website. And I think we even have a special discount for your listeners. So I'll
Oh,
make sure
that's
and get you that
wonderful.
key code. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
And
you.
if not, just please jump on my email list and stay in touch so that you can find out what goes on. And uh I think I want to put together an online offer sometime soon. So if you're not in Austin, get on the email list, please, so that we can connect online.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And I want to ask a couple of clarifying questions. So, do you, is it couples that come to you, or is it single people, or both?
Both. Yeah. Very happy with couples, singles. What I think is really interesting, a few couples have decided, longtime married couples, to come to the workshop one at a time. That's their
Mm,
decision. They made that decision. I don't, it's either is fine with me. But it was really brilliant idea, and several have done it now. And what happens is you get to come and learn what are my dynamics outside of the relationship dynamic. And then
yeah.
your partner can come and find out what are my dynamics without you around. And then once we both know that, then we can have the added intensity of both of us at the same time. Now we know ourselves better and we can be clearer with each other. So, but couples, individuals, or moresomes, which do exist,
Yeah.
all
They do.
welcome, all genders welcome, all adult ages welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. And you support the LGBTQIA, the queer communities and the,
Absolutely. I do consider myself queer. I don't think it's a look, I think it's a mindset. And
yeah.
I honor all genders. We have several transitioning humans in our community. Once you go through the workshop, you're in a community. And this is called the Wheelheads. And it's because we learned the wheel of consent. And in this community, this is where I have my most fun. There are more programs available and more offers available, because I feel like it's so nice to have a community of people who has this foundation together, that we've
Mhm.
all learned how to hear our wisdom, how to get our voices activated to ask for what we want in the world, how to hold our honest limits based on our body's signals. And so with that group, that's really kind of where the fun begins, is after the workshop.
That's awesome. So tell me, give me a little insight. You've piqued my interest about the wheel of consent.
Oh, the Wheel of Consent is heavenly. It was developed by Dr. Betty Martin, who is in Seattle. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and she was a chiropractor there for over 30 years with her own office, and then had her awakening, which was in the Body Electric School in its carnation many years ago, and realized she could do more good in the world with loving touch, and literally closed her chiropractic office and became a sex worker.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's proud of it. And then after she saw a lot of clients, she developed the Wheel of Consent, and she started to only teach it to other sex workers for many years, because she feels like that was the population that was in the most need of this safety, what
Yeah.
I'm talking about, which is
Yep.
we've got to stay safe, which means relaxed nervous system. We've
Yep.
got to have tools to come back to safety when we're not in it, because we're all going to come out of it. Right. And then we need tools for clearly communicating who is this for and getting into situations of touch that are clear so that someone can have their full desire met by making the interaction for them. And so, how to receive that gift of an experience, and also how to give that gift in a clean way, not make it about me if I'm giving.
Yep.
So the wheel of consent is quite a miracle. Now it's she's been teaching it at least 10 years. And it if you go to a body worker or anyone in the realm of sexuality, many, if not most, of the camps around the Western world, because she even taught more in Europe than America. So
Okay.
most of the professionals in this field know the wheel at some level. And I was her kind of like we've been good friends for a dozen years now, and I facilitated more of workshops in her mode than any other person. So I'm kind of like, and I really feel I'm taking the wheel into this new level of expansion, into this new resilience model now. But it's
Yeah.
truly epic. So if you even want to study Wheel of Consent, I highly recommend her book. It's called The Art of Receiving and Giving, and you'll find a
Beautiful.
lot of free resources online about the wheel of consent, and that's the backbone of my first weekend.
That's beautiful. I love that. What
Mm,
a great resource. And,
yes.
you bring up another topic that I'm just going to touch on, but, and we can probably have another conversation later about it, but sex workers need safety. And
Yeah,
so this is, and let's define, what is your definition of a sex worker?
I define it as a big broad definition, which is anyone who in their workplace, part of the job description is to deal with aroused sexual energy. So that would
Perfect.
include strippers, who is a legal profession, in most places. It doesn't mean all of it's not illegal. But in
Yeah.
my job description is sexual arousal is going to be in there, and I need tools.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. I love that because you're right. It's everywhere in our society, but we don't always recognize it. We hear sex workers and we think of prostitution
Yeah.
or the and even that in Canada and several places in Europe and here in the States, it's legal. So how do we create safety and enjoyment for the recipient, right?
Yeah, exactly. And keep ourselves safe.
Yeah. Yep. There's so many paths of wisdom for this. And I
Mm,
think first and foremost is demystifying it, making it part of normal conversation to be
mm,
feel good and feel okay having the conversation. And then tapping into your, and I'm speaking to everyone watching and listening, your inherent sexual wisdom. What does your body want you to know?
perfect.
Yeah.
You and I and everyone listening want something in the sexual department that no one else has really ever heard of. So all of
Yep.
this stuff where we're looking to external resources of how to with technique, yeah, we can imitate a technique, but what I want you to know is that you can learn how to hear your wisdom, and you're going to want things that are very unique and very beautiful. And all of that is healthy and divine. And I invite you to step into that in a beautiful, safe way, if you can find any way to do that.
I love this conversation, River.
Me
And
too,
I just love
darling.
hanging out with you
Oh, I have
anyways.
chills
So,
all over, all over. I love you too.
oh, so my friends, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, River, for sharing your wisdom and opening this beautiful door for all of us.
Mm.
In the show notes will be everywhere to find her. If you're curious, I strongly encourage you to attend her workshops. They're magic. And never forget, you are loved beyond measure,
Hmm.
and you are here for a purpose.
Hmm.
Thank you, River.
Thank you, Goddess.